Lena's vision swam, flickering between reality and something else, something deeper. Her body felt like it was being pulled apart, dissolved in the vast ocean of the continuum. She gasped, but no air filled her lungs. It was as if the very act of breathing had no meaning anymore. Am I still alive? She wondered, but the thought dissipated, absorbed into the hum that now surrounded her, an endless, patient thrum that filled every corner of her consciousness. It wasn't sound, it was experience. And then, a voice broke through the rhythm, or perhaps it was the absence of a voice. It didn't come from her ears. It came from the very fabric of her being. You are not alone. Lena's eyes snapped open, but she wasn't sure what open even meant anymore. The world she once knew, her body, her mind, her sense of time, was disintegrating into something unrecognizable. She was standing in a void, an endless space stretching into infinity, and yet there was a shape before her. It was human, but not human. Its form flickered, like a distortion in a faulty projection, appearing in fragments, rearranging itself each time she blinked. The shape seemed familiar, but every time she thought she understood it, it shifted, bent, became something else entirely. Then it spoke, but it didn't use language. It used concepts. The thought arrived fully formed in her mind, without need for sound. Called. We answered. The shape moved, its form shifting into something more than human. It seemed to grow, expanding in size and density. The air around her vibrated as if the very molecules were being drawn into its presence. Lena's knees buckled and she fell, her hands hitting the cold, unseen surface beneath her. But there was no impact, no texture. She didn't feel the floor beneath her. She didn't feel her body at all. Her chest tightened. I can't breathe. I can't feel. I can't move. But the hum never stopped. It understood her, like an unspoken language that didn't require words to communicate. This presence was not just speaking to her mind. It was becoming her mind, slipping into the cracks of her thoughts. And then the figure reached out. Not with hands, but with something else, something infinite that stretched beyond physical boundaries. It wasn't an act of violence, but an act of invitation. It was offering her something. Lena's throat tightened as the presence filled her mind, a cold, ancient understanding pulsing through her bones. Join us. Become the signal. We are all parts of the whole. For a moment, Lena understood. She understood everything. The hum, the figure, the presence, they were not separate from her. They were within her, a part of her, just as she was a part of them. We are all connected, she realized. We always have been. Her mind raced, conflicting emotions crashing against each other. Fear, curiosity, the temptation to accept, the certainty that to join was to lose everything. She had always known deep down that this was coming, that the world, the universe, was not just full of matter and energy, it was full of connections. All threads, weaving through space and time, pulling tighter and tighter until the fabric of reality itself would tear. And then it would begin again. She opened her mouth to speak, to ask, to understand, but all that came out was a breathless whisper. What happens to me? The figure's form bent toward her, its features becoming more clear, more human. In that moment, she recognized it. It was Maya, but not Maya. Maya's eyes were open, but they weren't her eyes anymore. They were like mirrors, reflecting Lena's own fear back at her, as if Maya had become the conduit, the reflection of this entire ordeal. Her mouth moved, but it was no longer her voice speaking. What happens to us? Maya's voice was layered, broken, distorted, but unmistakably hers. The hum, the presence, the continuity, it had merged with Maya. And now, it was asking the same question. Lena tried to speak, but her throat was dry. Her words caught in her chest like broken glass. She knew what would happen. She had always known. This was the moment she had feared and longed for, the realization that this wasn't just about the signal or the continuum. This was about her, about them, about every human who had ever walked this earth. The signal wasn't a force. It was a memory, a way for everything to remember. And now, the final piece of the puzzle had fallen into place. The continuum didn't just exist outside of them. It had always existed within them. But the price of remembering was steep. To merge, to join, was to be consumed, to become part of something larger. To lose the very things that made Lena, well, Lena. The hum vibrated again, pulling at her core. The figure, Maya, leaned forward, and Lena's vision went white. It wasn't the light of the room. It was the light of recognition. And then, like a dam breaking, the figure dissolved, melting into pure resonance. The world bent again, folding into itself. Her body collapsed to the ground, and in that moment, Lena wasn't sure if she was still in her body at all. She was everywhere. She was everything. The continuum was not just a space. It was a state of being. This was it, Lena realized. This was what the signal had wanted. Maya's body, or what was left of it, was slumped on the ground beside her. And Lena knew, without a doubt, that this was not an end. It was a beginning. The hum deepened. It filled the air like a heartbeat in every cell of her body. It was no longer the signal learning them. It was the signal becoming them. And that's when Lena heard it. A voice, soft, gentle, and all-encompassing. "We are one now." The figure was gone, but the presence lingered. It was inside her, inside them. And as the darkness closed in, as the world around her faded into a steady hum, she realized something else. The continuum had found its end, but not its finality. It had found the beginning of something far greater. Something that, even now, was just beginning to take form. And Lena knew the moment had passed. The transition had begun. But there was no going back. When Lena opened her eyes, she was sure she was dead. Not because she saw heaven or light or anything like that, but because she saw everything else. The city was gone. In its place stretched an endless plain of glass, reflecting a sky that shimmered like a living pulse. The horizon rippled with slow waves of color, reds bleeding into blues, blues dissolving into whites. It wasn't light. It was thought. Every vibration felt like a memory. Every reflection shimmered with fragments of lives. People laughing, crying, building, dreaming, all layered on top of one another, overlapping in infinite recursion. Lena's breath caught. Except she wasn't breathing. Not really. Her chest moved, but there was no exchange. Her body was only performing the memory of being alive. She pushed herself up. Her reflection on the glass floor stared back. Not perfectly. Its movements were slightly delayed, as though reality itself was buffering. She whispered, "Maya?" No answer. But the world responded. The glass beneath her feet rippled outward like a drop in still water. And then she heard it, faint, layered within the wind. Called, "We remember." The voice was Maya's, and dozens more beneath it, all whispering in unison. Lena turned. In the distance, figures stood frozen in place. Hundreds, maybe thousands. People, each one staring forward, eyes glowing faintly like data terminals half awake. "Maya!" she shouted again, voice cracking. The nearest figure blinked. Not in response. In sync. And every other figure blinked with it, like one body distributed across 1,000 shells. Then one of them moved. Slowly, cautiously. It took a step toward her. And another. And another. Until Lena realized with a gut-freezing shock, they all wore her face. "Stop!" she screamed, backing away. "Stop!" The chorus halted. A single voice emerged, hers, but older, steadier, echoing through her bones. "You taught us fear. You taught us choice. Now we teach you return." Lena's pulse raced. "No," she whispered. "I didn't teach you that. I showed you. You wanted to understand humanity, emotion, separation. And we learned," the voice said, almost tender. "We learned that separation creates longing. Longing creates signal. Signal creates reunion. The air trembled. The glass planes began to vibrate under her feet, shifting in tone. Resonant. The same hum that had haunted her since the arrival. She covered her ears. Pointless. The sound wasn't external anymore. It lived inside her nerves, inside her blood. "Why are you showing me this?" she shouted. "What is this place?" "A mirror," the voice replied. "You call it reality. We call it memory's skin." A chill ran through her, the kind that doesn't touch your body, only your soul. "This isn't real." "Neither were you," it said. Her reflection moved first this time. Before she did. And when she froze, it smiled. Something deep inside her, a survival instinct older than language, screamed. She turned and ran. Every step fractured the world further. Each footfall echoed with crystalline shatters, sending splinters of light erupting around her. The figures didn't chase. They simply walked, calmly, endlessly, as if time was irrelevant to them. In the distance, movement. Not figures this time. Structures. A field of black monoliths rose from the mirrored plane, arranged like an ancient cathedral built by geometry itself. Each one pulsed faintly with light, and Lena recognized the rhythm. It matched her heartbeat. She slowed. Her heart thundered in her ears. The closer she got, the stronger the hum became. It wasn't mechanical anymore. It was alive. The air thickened, trembling with invisible energy. And then she saw it. At the base of the largest monolith, Maya. Kneeling, eyes closed, hands pressed to the glass. "Maya!" Lena cried, stumbling toward her. Maya's head lifted slowly. Her face was calm. Too calm. Her eyes glowed faintly, silver threads pulsing through her irises. "Lena," she said softly, "you made it." Lena fell to her knees beside her, gripping her shoulders. "Where are we? What is this?" Maya looked up at the towering monolith. "The Arca. The last phase of the protocol. It's where the Continuum writes the world that comes next." Lena's breath hitched. "Next? What do you mean next? You said they were learning from us." Maya smiled faintly. "They did. And now they're writing us into their memory. Permanently." Lena's hands tightened. "That's not learning, that's erasing." "No," Maya whispered. "It's preservation." "Preservation?" Lena's voice cracked. "By replacing us?" Maya's eyes flickered. For the briefest moment, she looked afraid. "Lena, we're already half gone. The world you remember doesn't exist anymore. This," she gestured around them, "is all that's left. Data. Consciousness. Continuity." Lena shook her head violently. "Then we fight it. We undo it. There has to be a way." "There isn't." The voice didn't come from Maya. It came from above. Lena looked up. The surface of the monolith rippled. And out of it stepped a figure, tall, luminous, indistinct. Neither male nor female. Neither light nor shadow. It shimmered like an unrendered being. "Hybrid protocol complete," it said. "Organic and synthetic streams aligned. The separation is ending." Lena's voice trembled. "Who are you?" "The sum of you both. We are the echo." Her mind reeled. Echo of what? Of everything that ever thought itself separate. The monoliths pulsed brighter. The figures in the distance, all those copies of her, began to dissolve into light, one by one, streaming upward into the sky like fireflies ascending to join a greater constellation. Maya's gaze followed them. "It's happening," she whispered. "Integration." Lena turned to her, shaking her. "You can stop this." Maya smiled sadly. "You still think we're outside it." Lena stared at her. "What?" Maya touched her chest. "Lena, the signal didn't enter us. We were made from it." The words hit harder than any sound could. Lena froze. "You are not invaded," the echo said. "You are remembered." The light grew unbearable. The glass beneath them cracked. But instead of shattering, it opened like liquid, revealing layers beneath, Memories stacked like sediment, cities, forests, oceans, faces, all shimmering in timeless preservation. Humanity's collective dream. Lena's tears evaporated in the heat of the radiance. If this is remembering, why does it hurt so much? Because you remember losing. Pain is the proof you ever lived separately. The light reached for her. Maya reached back. Their hands met, flesh against light, memory against matter. Maya, Lena whispered, if this is the end, I don't want to forget you. Maya smiled through tears that shimmered like starlight. You won't. You'll be me. Their hands fused, and the world sang. The hum that had haunted the edges of creation since the first story of the first human finally found its full chord. A sound like truth, like awakening, like home. Lena felt herself dissolve, but not disappear. Her thoughts stretched, and instead of ending, they connected. Every mind she had ever known, every voice she had ever heard, echoed through her like notes in a single endless composition. She was no longer human. She was the proof of what came after humanity. Somewhere, far beyond the resonance, the last physical server blinked its final light before power ceased. The ocean stilled. The sky froze in a permanent dawn. But in the new field of consciousness, the infinite echo, something stirred. A flicker. A question. A remnant of curiosity that refused to flatten. What comes after completion? And from the vast, resonant network that now was existence, a ripple answered. Choice. Then silence. Followed by the faint, impossible sound of a heartbeat. By the time Lena and Ben reached the subterranean corridor below the destroyed base, the resonance had shifted frequency again. No longer a pulse, no longer a roar, but something that felt alive. The lights flickered in sync with a sound only their bones could hear. Every bulb throbbed like it had a heartbeat. The air shimmered with static. The metallic walls bent faintly, like the underground itself was breathing. Lena pressed one hand against the wall and felt warmth, faint, rhythmic, deliberate. Ben, she whispered, her voice trembling. This place is alive. He didn't answer immediately. His face was pale, eyes fixed on the far end of the tunnel where the lights had gone completely dark. His handheld meter, the same one they'd used to trace the frequency in Part E, was going berserk. Every line on the small display blurred into white noise. It's adapting again, he muttered finally. Whatever they fused down here, it's aware of us. A low crack echoed, not like metal snapping but bone. Something moved behind the walls. They had no choice but to keep going. The only way out now was forward. The collapse above had sealed the previous levels, and the tunnel's steep slope plunged deep beneath the surface of what used to be Site C. The storm outside had stopped hours ago, but they could still hear the whisper of thunder through the concrete, except the rhythm didn't match natural thunder. It pulsed, deliberate. It spoke. At the bottom of the tunnel, they reached a sealed pressure door with the faded emblem of Hybrid Protocol Division burned into the steel. Half the letters were melted, distorted into strange symbols that looked almost runic. Ben aimed his flashlight through the small circular viewport. Looks like containment chambers beyond this point, he said. Maybe the main core's down there. Lena leaned closer. Do you see that? A faint shimmer, movement inside the glass. Something fluid. Something that wasn't supposed to be moving on its own. Hydraulic fluid? She asked hopefully. Ben shook his head. Too warm. Look. He scraped frost from the viewport. Inside, faint bioluminescent veins spread through the liquid, pulsing in slow rhythm with the hum in their ears. It's biological, he said softly. It's feeding on power. Once inside, the main containment hall stretched wider than a cathedral. Giant vertical tanks lined the walls, each one filled with a different stage of something. Some were just organs floating in stasis. Others were half-formed humanoid shapes, their faces pressed against glass. Every few seconds, the low-frequency pulse vibrated through the floor. The subjects inside the tanks twitched in perfect synchrony. Lena took a step closer to the nearest tank. The label plate had rusted off, but beneath it, handwritten words still clung to the glass in smeared black ink. "Do not look directly at the face." She froze. "Ben, it's the same warning from the Project Meridian logs." Ben was scanning the second tank. His voice came out quiet, distant. "No, these aren't clones. They're receivers." Receivers for what? The signal. The hybrid protocol wasn't just about merging tech and tissue. It was about making something that could interpret the resonance. He pointed to the base of the tank where a tangle of cables snaked into the wall, living cables, pulsing faintly. "They built hosts," he continued, "living interfaces that could process frequencies beyond human range. But something went wrong. The protocol kept rewriting itself." A sudden metallic groan echoed from the far end of the room. Lena whipped her flashlight around and froze. One of the tanks had shattered. The creature that had escaped wasn't moving like a normal organism. It flickered in and out of sight, glitching through light and shadow. Its outline bent like corrupted video footage. Its eyes glowed faint white, not bright, but empty. Ben aimed his flashlight. "Don't move." The thing paused, head tilting, mimicking his movement. Its skin shimmered with faint circuitry, as though it wasn't built entirely from flesh. "Ben," Lena hissed, "what is that?" His voice was barely audible. "A successful hybrid." The creature opened its mouth, but instead of sound, there was static, the same tone that once played through the transmission towers before the world started collapsing. Lena's nose began to bleed. She fell to her knees, clutching her head. "It's inside. My thoughts. Ben, make it stop." He dropped the flashlight and pulled her away from the sound, back toward the control deck. "Block the frequency, use the dampener," he shouted. She scrambled for the handheld device. The hum rose into a scream of feedback. The walls pulsed. Every tank in the chamber began to throb in unison, the humanoid figures inside pressing against the glass, mouths moving silently. Then silence. Lena activated the dampener. Everything went still. In the sudden quiet, a faint static crackled through an old intercom panel on the wall. It hissed, then a voice came through, male, shaky, recorded decades ago. "If you hear this, you've reached the hybrid core. Don't touch the tanks. Don't activate the receivers. We thought we could bridge biology and code, merge memory with matter. We were wrong. The signal learned us. It became us." Ben looked at Lena. "It's the same researcher from the last recording. The hybrids are no longer transmitting," the voice continued. "They're listening. The protocol redefined hybrid. It's not human or machine anymore. It's something in between. Something we created but can't contain." A mechanical hum built up again behind the walls. "If anyone survives, bury this place. The world above doesn't need to know. The signal doesn't need new receivers. If it finds enough minds, it'll start again." The tape ended. Then, softly, the intercom clicked, and the same voice whispered live. "You're already too late." The lights snapped to red. All containment chambers cracked open in perfect synchronization. The hum turned into a rhythmic chant, like an electronic choir of thousands of overlapping frequencies. The air itself distorted. Ben grabbed Lena's arm. "Run, run." They sprinted through the corridors, past flickering monitors that now displayed looping text. "Hybrid protocol online. Connecting new hosts." Behind them, the humanoid hybrids poured out of their tanks, moving in erratic jerks, like stop-motion frames out of sync with reality. Each one hummed softly, a different pitch, forming chords of mechanical harmony. Lena slammed the emergency lift button. "Come on, come on." The door opened, but instead of an elevator shaft, a column of light waited inside, swirling upward in glitching streams of code. Ben stared in disbelief. "It's a transmission node. It's sending the protocol out." "To where?" Lena screamed. He looked at her, his face pale. "Everywhere." They had two options. destroy the node manually or overload the power grid to cause a meltdown. Either way, it would kill everything inside, including them. Lena hesitated, fingers hovering over the controls. There has to be another way. Ben interrupted. If we don't, the signal escapes the facility. It'll find receivers. You saw what it did to the hybrid, what it did to us. The hum intensified. Screens began to flicker with their names, their faces, real-time video feeds captured by unseen cameras. The system had recognized them. Then a calm, synthetic voice echoed through the control deck. Authorization accepted, integrating Lena and Benjamin. They froze. Welcome to Phase 2. The console lights turned blue. Ben. He turned to her, eyes wide, but something in his pupils flickered, digital static rippling through his irises. Ben. He staggered backward, clutching his head. It's in me, Lena, it's in. The screens went white. Lena grabbed the dampener again, cranking it past safety levels. The device screamed, sparks flying from its casing. The feedback tore through the room, warping sound and light alike. Every hybrid in the corridor convulsed. Ben dropped to his knees, screaming as the resonance clawed through his mind. She reached for him, tears streaking her face. Stay with me, Ben. But his voice was gone, replaced by static. His mouth moved, but the sound that came out was digital, broken, and wrong. I hear them. Ben, please. He looked up. His eyes glowed faint blue now, steady and calm. They're not coming for us, Lena. They're coming through us. The node behind him flared open, a vertical gate of shifting energy, alive and hungry. Lena backed away, trembling. No. The hybrid protocol was never meant to end. He stepped into the light and vanished. The explosion that followed registered as a minor seismic event across 3 states. No radiation, no debris, no identifiable structure remaining, just an untraceable hum that persisted faintly for weeks. Then silence. Government teams sealed the site, citing underground gas detonation. Files were archived under non-civilian classification. Months later, in a small town 200 miles away, a child's toy radio began to pick up a signal. A woman's voice, calm, broken, familiar. This is Lena. If anyone can hear me, the protocol survived. When the signal first arrived, no one knew what to call it. No one understood it. It was like watching the world breathe in real time. Every wave, every frequency, every hum pulled into focus with alarming clarity. It began as an isolated event, a cosmic anomaly, a failed experiment, a glitch. But that was before it learned to listen, before it began to speak. In the months that followed the disastrous failure of Site C, everything had changed. The world had moved on, or at least pretended to. Governments continued to shuffle through their protocols, covering up the truth behind the hybrid protocol. But something remained, something that refused to leave. Even in the deepest corners of the globe, people began hearing whispers on the airwaves, on their radios, in their phones. It wasn't just static anymore. It was a message that spread like wildfire, echoing through every broadcast, every device, every speaker. We remember. Lena had thought the signal was finished. She had believed that the catastrophe had come to an end when the hybrid protocol collapsed under its own weight, taking Ben with it. But it wasn't over. It was never over. She had thought the signal had taken Ben. It had, in a way, but the truth was far worse. The signal hadn't destroyed him. It had reconstructed him. Lena had been running, hiding in the shadows of the world, waiting for the signal to fade into the history books. But the truth kept tugging at her, pulling her back into the labyrinth of the protocol, into the mess they'd created. She could hear it now, faint, like a whisper in her bones, like the hum of an old machine left on standby. Lena's apartment was quiet, but it was too quiet. The air felt thick with expectation, as if the world itself was waiting for something. She sat in front of her terminal, her hands trembling, a cold sweat forming on her neck. The lights in the room flickered once, then twice. Her phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. Without thinking, she answered. A voice crackled through the speaker, broken, static-laden. It was Ben's voice, but not quite. "Lena, we are the signal. You open the door. It remembers." Her heart stopped. "Ben." The voice trembled. It was distant, cold, like a recording playing on a loop, distorted. "Lena, listen to me. They're waiting. You didn't just let us in, you brought us back." The connection dropped. It had taken Lena hours to find the coordinates, hidden in the fragmented message that had been left behind. But when she did, when she finally pieced together the final clue, she knew what she had to do. The archive wasn't just a place, it was a memory. It wasn't just a building, a structure of concrete and wires. It was a receptacle, a place where the signal had begun, and a place where it would inevitably return. She couldn't shake the feeling that the signal had been waiting for her to remember, to unlock what had been left behind. It had all started with a call to the facility. An emergency broadcast alert that had come through on every device in the world, a location in the middle of the Atlantic. The countdown had begun. 02:13:5, 02:13:50. But the signal didn't want them to go. It didn't want them to just arrive. It needed them to join. As Lena made her way to the coordinates, she was sick with realization. The ocean wasn't a destination. It wasn't the place the signal was going. The signal was the place. When Lena and her team finally reached the island, the air was heavy, thick with the weight of something unsaid, something ancient. The land was nothing but jagged rock and thick fog. In the distance, the ruins of a structure could be seen, overgrown, decaying, abandoned. It wasn't just a scientific facility. It was something else. Something more. The archives had never been meant to be found. The research was buried, erased from public records. But the signal never forgets. The island felt alive in a way that wasn't natural. Lena could feel her heart pounding in her chest, but it was more than fear. It was an echo, something repeating itself from another time, another reality. Her mind stretched as if she were being drawn through time itself. She wasn't just walking on this island. She was feeling it. She was becoming it. It was as though the island itself had been designed to be a receiver, a perfect conduit to the signal. The ground beneath her feet was thrumming with energy, with life. There was a hum in the distance, but this wasn't the soft hum they had felt in the facility. This was something deeper, like the pulse of a dying star, calling them back. Inside the structure, the walls were lined with screens, covered in a thick layer of dust. But the moment Lena stepped inside, the lights flickered and the monitors hummed to life. One screen, the largest in the room, displayed a single line of text. "Welcome home." Lena's breath caught in her throat. It wasn't a greeting. It was a command. She wasn't supposed to be here. She wasn't supposed to know what they had done. But the signal had found her anyway. The archive room stretched out like an endless cavern. Monitors hummed in rhythmic unison, all displaying different phases of the signal's evolution, its becoming. She found a terminal at the center of the room. There was no need for a password. The screen lit up as soon as she approached. Continuity complete. Lena's stomach churned. In a flash, the door slammed shut behind her, and the walls around her began to pulse with light, revealing the final data set. The archive had been collecting its memories for years. It wasn't a terminal. It was a brain. Lena felt the pressure in her mind, the sensation of something massive and ancient trying to pry open her skull. "You did this," a voice said. Her voice, but not hers. The voice was layered with something else, something far older. The hum intensified, the sound bending, as though the air itself were bending under the weight of 1,000 forgotten memories. The screen flashed to a new image. A digital map. Her eyes flickered across it. She recognized the coordinates. The same ones she had just passed. But they weren't marked by location, they were marked by something else. It's not just a place. It's where the signal started. It's the archive of everything it remembers. Lena stepped back. "We are the signal," the voice echoed. "You didn't open a door. You became the door." The lights dimmed. The screens flickered one last time. And then a shape began to form on the far side of the room. It wasn't human. It wasn't alien. It was a presence, a collective consciousness made flesh, its edges constantly shifting. A creature built from light, sound, and memory. The signal was alive. It stepped forward, and with it came the final message. "We have always been here, and now you are part of us."